Hey everybody, I am Dr. Lakeisha James, host of Talks with Lakeisha. I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Ambassador Moses Fayiah. He is a Liberian human rights advocate, youth leader, community organizer, and an emerging voice in the civic engagement and public service in Liberia. Welcome, Ambassador Moses. How are you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm getting you. I'm getting you. Yeah, you are breaking. Yes, that's just me. That's me. I'm Moses, a Liberian. I'm a human rights advocate, a youth leader, uh, a climate justice advocate as well. And mainly in Liberia, I'm just known as an activist because of my stand in the youth cycle. I'm hoping to see the right thing being done for young people. That's my major priority. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to go ahead and keep it moving. Now, I remember the first time we met, I think it was last year. I did a training for Optus Teacher Training Institute out of Liberia, and I think that you were one in the training class, and I recently spoke on one of your platforms. So we'll get into that the later part of our conversation. But I want to know, why have you dedicated yourself to advancing human rights, youth empowerment, and anti-fraud awareness?
Thank you. So before I dive into answering the question, let me use this time to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to you, Dr. Lakasha, for the invitation. And I hope you are doing fine in the family as well. So I bring you greetings from my family and the young people of Liberia, where I've been opportune to serve as their leader. So they are glad and they wish me all the best as I sit on this platform tonight to address some issues that are affecting young people and then also our works that we have been doing in Liberia. So if I got a question, well, your question says, why have I decided uh, to dedicate myself to advancing human rights, youth empowerment, and anti-fraud awareness?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
the question is a broad question, but I'm going to take my time to address it because it is very much cardinal that I address it because many people will love to hear it. So, the first thing in my introductory part, I grew up knowing myself to be a single child, raised by a single mother in Liberia. Not that my father was not alive, but he disowned me. So I felt when I was growing up, I saw that as a human right, my right being abused, where my father have to leave me and then my mother struggle. That's the first part of me getting more adapted to human right. But I grew up seeing injustice, inequality, and missed opportunities affect young people in vulnerable communities. That was the first thing. And I watched people rights being ignored, young people full of potential overlooked, and communities harmed by fraud and dishonesty. So most of the you'll see people are eager for opportunities. So because they are eager for opportunities, no opportunity in Liberia, and then if someone say they have opportunity, young people have the potential, they want to advance themselves, they go after those things. There were the scam activities have been coming from Liberia. At some point, I realized I couldn't complain about it and do nothing. So that was something that I saw. Complaining, seeing myself as a young person and then not doing anything. Every day I complain that young people are suffering. Young people right have been abused, but doing nothing was something that I felt that I was harming myself. So I needed to step out. I needed to make something, to do something that will make people to know that indeed what I've been suffering me inside me need to be first out. So Z area connect for me when people to know their rights, when youth are empowered, and when integrity is promoted, society works better. So the first thing that I took into consideration was youth have to be empowered and integrity must be promoted. And when those things are working in the society, especially Liberia, I believe that the country works better, not just for the government, but for every citizen that strive to do better things for themselves and their family. I just felt called to be part of that change. I realized early on that since I only protest the problems, human rights youth empowerment and anti-fraud awareness were interconnected. Why? There is a reason what I said human rights, youth advocacy, and anti-fraud awareness, they are interconnected. Because when people know their rights, when young people are in power, and when fraud is exposed, society becomes stronger and fairer. Therefore, I choose to compound those three things. As I said, firstly, when people know their rights, that is the human rights aspects of my advocacy. And then when people are empowered, therefore, I stand up for youth empowerment, to advocate for youth empowerment. And then when fraud is exposed, there were the anti-fraud and scam movement like Liberian came in, because we believe in exposing, in raising awareness about the dangers of scam and fraud in our society. My decision comes from a deep desire to protect integrity, to restore trust, and to create pathway for young people to thrive honestly and responsibly. So I have always been in the youth cycle, in the young people way, telling them that these things need to be done. This thing is right. And to be weird, that fraud have made a lot of harm on our society. And what made people to fall prey to scam is because of the lack of empowerment. People are
Mm.
not being empowered. That's why I've been affecting Liberians. Because Moses, I grew up as a single person. For now, I have the desire to follow my education, to go to university, but I don't have the opportunity to send myself to university. So
Right.
if someone come to me and they say, Moses, I have opportunity for you to go and study, I'll be eager because I want to follow my education
Yeah.
without getting a second thought that this thing, I'll need to know more about it, whether it is real or it is false. So those things, those questions will not come in mind, but the only thing that will come is I need to follow my education.
I
So
love it.
because of those things, many Liberians, young people, are victims of scam and fraud in our society. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's how I can address the first question.
I like that. I like that. I like that. And it seemed like when you and I first met, like I said, you seem like an amazing leader. So I know a few months ago, well, actually, it was I think around Thanksgiving last year when you invited me to speak on your anti-scam platform. Yeah, tell us about that movement and how long that movement has taken. Well, how long that what was how did that movement start? I know you said a little bit about when I was asking you about, dedicating yourself to advancing human rights and youth empowerment. But when did that movement start? The anti-scam awareness movement.
Okay, so that have to do with when I started to know my purpose of getting into activism, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so to address that question, Dada, I didn't wake up one day with everything being figured out in my head. I began to understand my purpose in my late teens, but it became clearer to me in my late 19 to 20. So that was when I became more involved in advocacy, community leadership, and youth organizing. I
Hmm.
realized that my voice, my experiences, and my commitment could be used to influence positive change beyond myself. When I was in high school, I when I was in elementary first, when I was in elementary, I saw how teachers treated students at times, taking money from students just to give student grades. That was the first time I got offended because my school days, my journey of high school, I started my school from ABC all the way to sixth grade. That's my elementary level with a single teacher because he was my uncle and I never had the opportunity to go to different school. So he said, I will teach you. So that it was a single man that taught me from ABC all the way to sixth grade. When I entered Sunbury to advance my studies, I started seeing injustice. I started seeing how females were being marginalized and their rights were taken only because they needed to score the grade.
Wow.
There was a step into to get into active student activism. And then I wanted to contest as a student council president in my junior high year. But a female was brought against me, and it was one of my wish that I don't want to contest against a female. I want to compete with a male because there where the marginalization have been coming from mostly because female, they should be given leadership ability. They should be given the opportunity to serve. So I decided to step down. I not contested during my junior high year as a student council president. I supported the lady, she won, and then we started to serve the legacy. When I entered senior high, I got involved. I served as a student council president. But this the histories were made, and then today we are being known because of what we stood for when we were in high school. One thing we introduced was the issue of students not just that at all students shouldn't get money to teachers for grade. That was one
Mhm.
thing because we saw it. We saw it as students. We used to go and bribe teachers so the teacher can get a grade so they can make the pass. So we introduced that if any teacher is being caught giving student grade because of money, we as a student council government, we are going to report the teachers not even to the school authority but to the DEO that have to do the district educational office because they were
Yeah,
above the school. So those are steps that we took. And at a certain point in time, we vote against two teachers in our school and they were being suspended because of those acts. And today, when they see us, when we go back to where we came from, when we go back to our high school, we are being respected because we stood our ground, we stood for human rights advocacy, and there where we have been able to stand our ground today as we walk out of high school, looking forward to ways that we can push forward in life and then make the rightful change or the changes that need to be done. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I recall, like I said, being on your platform around the holidays, Thanksgiving last year, and that was the first time I actually, well, not actually, that was the first time I told my story of being scammed. So I know firsthand what that's like. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for all that you do. Now, as I was reading your bio, it looked like that you're a part of the Young Visionaries Network. Could you tell me more
Yeah.
about
Yeah. So the Young Visionary Network, it is a vision that I've been working on since 2023
that? Okay.
when I was in high school. Yeah. It's kind of today vision. I started working on it. I I saw how organization leaders in Liberia were being divided. Young people came up with organizations, and then each of them, when they having their activities, other people will say, "I'm not part of this activity. I will not support the activity." Therefore, bringing division among the young people. So I've been working on it, taking it step by step. I said when the reference time reaches, God will give me the opportunity to be able to establish this organization. So when I entered 2026 on January 1, when people were out for new for Wash Night or New Year Eve, I was home. I was meditating on how I can be able to go about establishing this young visionary network. And then I went about it. I saw a few potential young people that have been working, making a lot of impacts in the youth cycle. I called them. I said, I've been having a dream, but there is a need that will bring it to reality. I shared the vision with them, and they embraced the vision. We called for a general meeting. To be real, this was the very first time that I called for a meeting, and we saw young people coming from almost all the 15 counties in Liberia.
Really?
We met. Yeah, we discussed how can we be able to go about the young visionary network. People embrace it. We saw people coming. We targeted a lot of people that support vision in like we call them mentors and advisors. We set up the advisory board, and then we set up the leadership to be able to steady the affairs of the organization. The Young Visionary Network have been making a lot of impacts, and we are hoping to do a lot because we believe that the Young Vision Network, as I said earlier, is here to be able to connect organizations and young people so that they will not just be divided, but they will share ideas on how to unite Liberia, how to promote Liberia, and how to advocate together. Yesterday, an organization hosted a youth and just dialogue. They reached out to me. Moses, you are the leader for the Young Vision Network. We need you
Yeah.
on board. I said, yes. for the fact that this just issue has been so that affecting a lot of young people, it is something that I have to be there. And I devoted my time. I was part of the dialogue yesterday, and I spoke on a topic. I spoke on a topic. If a nation should be developed, the youth must be developed.
Yeah.
Actually, what actually motivated me to go into this topic was
Yeah. I
we
think
will
that,
see most of the
yeah, I'm sorry, cut you off
yeah.
there, Mr. Moses. I think the youth are very important. I mean, you guys are so advanced now. I was talking to another one of my guests because I had a few recordings prior to you and I getting together, but we were discussing a lot of things that we didn't have access to that you guys have access to now. Like as technology is so evolving, it's just everything is like there with the click of a finger. It's just like you can access the world through technology, which is very important. But I commend you on being that leader for the youth in Liberia. That's amazing.
Yeah. So you will observe that during political seasons, data, you observe that more young people will be caught. They will be used to campaign for people. And then when the people come to power, they silence them. Their voices are no longer heard. Some of them
Yeah,
become zogos, disadvantaged youth. At the end of the day, they will start to taking drugs. Those are some of the places that just abuse comes from. So if a government will say they want to develop the country, let them firstly develop the youth. Let them bring empowerment, youth empowerment. Let youth be inclusive in decision-making processes. When those things happen, we believe that inclusivity brings about change or changes that will last. So there
absolutely.
where we have been standing our ground as the Young Fisher Network. The Young Fisher Network, it is moving strong. Despite of all the challenges we face, no support and other things, but I always tell my team, the first thing is we are here to stay. We will make the better changes, and Liberia will see it because we are not just doing making fun. Today, my team, I sent up my team. They went, they represented us on one radio platform, and they were discussing. I'll follow them. They discussed well, and the discussion was all about how young people have to come together. For so long, the errors of those we call politicians are divided our country. They have made young people to divide themselves. So it is time that we as young people come together. We have a second thought that we are the future leaders of Liberia. If Liberia will develop, if Liberia will stay united, if Liberia will be built, it depends on we, the young people of Liberia. So it is time that we hold on
Absolutely.
together. That's just the vision of the Young Vision Network, to unite young people, to empower young people, to
Mhm.
seek opportunity that will be able to make young people to reach their full potential. Some of those things are on our desk. Thank
I
you,
love
mommy.
that. I love that. So is it a global organization or is it kind of local just out of Liberia right now?
So we never limited it to Liberia. That's why we call it the Young Vision Network. If it
Mhm.
was just limited, we're going to say Young Vision Network Liberia. But
Okay.
for everything, you should have a root or you should have a foundation. That's why we are building the foundation in Liberia. Currently, we have a representative from Sierra Leone. For Sierra Leone, we have a representative from there, and we are connecting other people from Nigeria. They reach out to us. They have been following the process online, and they are interested in being representative of the Young Future Network in Nigeria. So that's a vision. But we first have to set up the foundation, set up the base, the base camp, so that, for instance, if we are having a program in Liberia here, once the foundation is said, we ought to host people, we ought to call people from Nigeria, those representatives from Nigeria, come and be part of the program. Then we are prepared to be able to host them. But it is just a vision that's coming to reality. It's a gradual process. I'm working on everything to make sure that it is materialized. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Now, I want to know the answer to this question. How did you, and I kind of figured I already know this, but how did you earn the title of ambassador?
Yeah, I'm not getting it clear. Can you just come again, please?
How did you earn the title of ambassador?
Oh, okay. So my ambassador title, or it came a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it came a long way. I I never just woke up one day with everything figured out. I begin to understand my purpose. As I said earlier in my late 19 to 20s, that
Mm-hmm.
was when I began more involved in advocacy, in community leadership, and youth organizing. I realized that my voice and commitment could be used to influence positive change beyond myself, but goes to the youthful public. Taking into some of those considerations are some of those things that needed to be done. My ambassador title came from so many areas. It came from my engagements. One, it came from my engagements because as an ambassador, my title ambassador was earned through consistent advocacy based on the way I advocated leadership and representation of youth and human rights causes at both national and international levels. I appear like I'm a global human rights fellow. A program on an initiative hosted on a global platform where young people from around the globe come together as human rights advocates to share their views on some of those things they are observed in their countries about how youth have been marginalized, how their rights have been abused. So I am a global human rights fellow. So I some of those things and the first place to be real. It reflects trust because my responsibility and recognitions of my efforts to represent communities' values and causes with integrity and professionalism led to me being let me guess, an ambassador. I attended the Optic Your Training Institute, again, an ambassador title in human rights, youth advocacy, and diplomacy. I attended the Global Human Rights Fellows. I became an ambassador. I became an ambassador of Yona Liberia, which is a climate advocacy institution where I attended and became ambassador for climate justice advocacy. And I'm a part of a global students union called the Thompson Development Alliance that have to do with complete student activities where we observe the way students have been treated in your institutions and other things and don't give our report. And at a certain point in time, I became ambassador because of my active involvement in the student communities, ensuring that the voices of the students are heard. So there where my ambassador titles came from.
Okay, I like that. Well, I know it just seems like that you're so like so much older than you are. Like it seems like you're doing amazing things in Liberia, but is there anything new that you're working on? I know you've been working on a lot of things. You wear a lot of hats and you're involved in a lot of things, but is there anything new that you're working on?
Yeah. Yes. So there are things new that I'm working on. I'm currently working on initiatives that strengthen youth advocacy. That's one of the things I'm working on to expand anti-fraud awareness and build partnerships that create sustainable opportunity for young people. Because we can be advocating and then we are not empowering. That's one thing I've realized so far. Because once you, for example, when someone is an addicted just artist, you go and tell the person that just is not good, you should be able to do something for them. Now, that will be able to leave just and then be able to do something for themselves. So that's the advocacy part of me. If I'm being able to advocate, I should be able to empower. That's why we are building a team that will be able to advocate for those things for sustainable opportunity for young people. I'm also focused on capacity building. Like the Young Vision Network, we're going to be having a capacity building training and workshops for young people and mentorship because young people have to be mentored. You observe that people will come from high school or secondary school, they don't know what to do next. They don't have vision because they are not being mentored. So some of those things we have seen it. We are coming up with a mentorship program. The mentorship program is going to be telling you your role in society as a young person. Uh, what are some of those things that you should do to be respected, to be valued as a young person, right? So we are also planning on expanding the impact of existing programs to reach more communities. We don't just want to limit it to Liberia. We want to expand it as a two area so that other people will see the needs that young people should be highly recognized. Like on a platform,
Okay.
I'm currently a participant of the global. program called the Professor uh, Professor Claude Lenormand. He does program is in Africa. I'm part of that program. It's a 16 weeks, let me just say 3 months program that is highly online, bringing great speakers from around the world to speak to Africans on different topics,
Yes,
activism, advocacy, volunteering, and other things. So I'm part of that program, and
that's
we are
amazing.
channeling our voices. Yeah, we are channeling our voices because one thing I believe in myself is to volunteer. Because volunteer have taught me a lot. It have
Yes,
made me who I am today. Yeah,
yes.
I chose to
I love it.
volunteer. I actually choose to volunteer because I believe it comes with a lot of things. It comes with people, with organizations, or with respect, a lot of things. Because when you volunteer, people know you interact with a lot of people. But these days, our young people don't want to volunteer. That's one of the challenges we face
Yeah.
in Liberia. When you go to
And I,
someone, you tell them about the vision. The first thing they will ask is, "Are you paying?" Of course, there is no pay. But we want to do everything we can to ensure that the message goes across to young people. Yeah,
absolutely. And not only that, it's like volunteering, you're able to give back. Like I love giving back. Giving back is volunteering. But I
yeah,
love that. Well, Ambassador Moses, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I thank you for just what you're doing in Liberia alone.
yeah,
It's amazing. Like I said, we've had a conversation, but not like this, lengthy like this. And you're just doing some amazing things. Keep up the great work. And I know there are going to be some youth that's going to come up right behind you and do make sure
yeah.
you or something even better because that's what it's all about. Our youth building the future for tomorrow. So thank you again and hats off to you for doing all that you're doing at such a young age. That's amazing. But yes, and ladies, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our segment with Ambassador Moses. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
listening. Now, I always like to
Thank
leave you
you.
with something.
Yeah. You
As
know, you
actually,
know, you know,
uh-huh.
you know what I'm always excited because of the role you have played in the world. I you are making a lot of impacts. We are watching, young people are following. On many instances, we give reference to what you have done. Or so the one thing again I can tell you is you have already set a path. We are following the path, and we will ensure that the little we can do as young people is done. Young people will be informed about their rights. We will ensure that we raise awareness about scam in Liberia and the world. That's
Mm,
what we have done. We will dedicate our Facebook pages and other places we are, all social media handles, using it to channel our voices to ensure that our voices reach the people that are on social media, and to dedicate our time to volunteer and ensure that the marginalized or those on less privileged people also get the information that they need to get. Yeah.
absolutely. And I did all that. It's like we're the voice for the voiceless ones. Raise your voice because it does matter. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, I am your host, Dr. Lakeisha James.